out. Here's Freckleton for three.
offensive rebounds leading straight away. Good, strong defense by Rockets, leading to pretty easy transition buckets. So let's keep an eye on that as we go, as Williams nearly picks the pocket.
Yeah, Margai, 4 on the shot clock, is going to have to get something up. Right-handed layup is good.
Yeah.
And again, those little breakdowns late in the clock are the ones that always hurt.
Yeah, and what Coach Keane's Williams with another 3 in transition. But what Coach Keane's going to be frustrated at, it's not the breakdown, it's the one early enough to get to cover. It's the ones that are going to cover each other so we don't end up. And there you go, Sam Grant, long arms, just deflects it. Now we're back. Now Rockets are back defending 5v5. So let's just keep an eye on those breakdowns and the first help for Rockets. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and Fletsky knocks it down. I believe you should now be able to hear us. Apologies for the slight technical difficulties. We're a little bit late accessing the Wildcats Arena. Only had an hour pre-game for setup, so we will keep resolving the issues. Understand as well you cannot see the scoreboard, so we will do our best from here in the arena to keep you up to date. Currently it is Bradford 12 as Jermaine Lang lays it home. Reading Rockets 13. We've got 4:10 left in the first quarter here in Nottingham. It's Michael Hanson-Morris and Matt Johnson here with you from the Wildcats Arena as Reece Pinnock knocks down the triple, and the third triple already for the Rockets this afternoon.
Yeah, and I can tell you as well that after a made field goal, Bradford are pushing it down the net, and Rockets defensively getting to protect the rim is not where it needs to be. So Coach Keane will make a change. He's going to go with KV Live in, Leon Francis with a rest. It'll be interesting to see now if the positioning of the youngster coming in gets to the spot so Bradford don't get anything. If you think about the last 4 buckets Bradford have scored, all pretty much at the rim. Rockets have shot it well from the perimeter, but this is a long game, isn't it? And this is we're on for both teams scoring over 100 at the moment, so this could be entertaining.
Yeah, and we've seen both teams really push in transition, and no doubt when we do see a timeout, if it is the end of the quarter, both teams will be emphasising his transition defence. Reece Pinnock also checking back in for the Rockets, and in for the first time, Great Osborne for the Bradford Dragons, and a new addition to the roster. Obviously, Maesco, one of the teams unable to play this year in NBL Division 2, so Great Osborne will finish the season with Coach Chris Mellor and the Dragons as Pinnock takes inside, is rejected by Fetsky, and Bradford 2-on-1 fast break, and turn it over, and just bad decision making, and both teams effective in transition, but they're the ones you always look back on and go, you need to have 2-on-1 fast break layups. Yeah,
absolutely, and you know, bringing in Latrell Maitland coming off the bench, KV Live coming in, Sam Grant, 3 academy kids with Reece Pinnock, who's looking as though he's getting himself back to health as well, and then Ben Dixon as well. So this is a young and a really interesting group to go to early. We're thinking that Coach Keane has KV Live on the glass. Great job. You see straight away the youngsters. KV comes up with 2 really important tips.
And a foul underneath, away from the ball. We'll see what the call is.
Yeah.
It is on, I thought it's signalled 15, but it must be 13, which would be, oh no, 14, so 14. It will be on Great Osborne.
Yep.
And talking with Coach Chris Mellor of Bradford yesterday, he said that's the one area he really needs to see improvement from the youngsters on the defensive end. Believes he's got the offensive talent, but just lacks that concentration, as so many youngsters do at an early age on the defensive end, as Grant misses the 3 and Osborne pulls down a big contested rebound.
Yeah. Good rebound by young Gray, who's come from straight out of Maesco, and has been there for a couple of years now, I think, and has had some really good performances.
As Margai misses the 3, and Sam Grant trying to contest the offensive rebound by Osborne, but he catches him on the arm, and the Maesco youngster will head to line for 2 shots. Yeah, Reading's 4th foul of the quarter as they lead by 1, 2:41 left in the first quarter.
Yeah, just something to keep an eye on, Michael, in the background is the fouls drawn category. So Bradford attacking the basket have drawn 4 fouls on Reading in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, and Bradford, the team that live at the line, they take the 2nd most free throws in the league at 25.5 a game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you flip that the other way, where Bradford have only needed to foul once so far. So you've got a slightly differing style of how the teams are playing, and in comes Chuck Dury for Sam Grant. Sam very active, in those first few minutes. And in comes Mr. Bradford, and out goes Mr. Bradford.
Yeah, this is the advantage of this Bradford team. Yeah. Apart from Osborne, really, this group has been together for numerous years and nurtured inside out. It looks like Bradford in some sort of 3-2 matchup zone the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, absolutely. Good spot as well. Interesting. And it works as well. Turnover for Rockets.
Yeah, Ben Dixon unable to hold on to the ball, and Bradford turnover. It looks like some sort of 3-2 matchup. So we'll see how that evolves, and Bradford will make another sub in for the first time this afternoon. For the host will be Matt Armstrong wearing 9, replacing Lykoudis.
Yeah, and split loyalties here. Matt Armstrong from Newcastle came down to join the JMA Academy a number of years ago, and had a great time with us down there, and he's now got a really good job, and he's doing a great things. Really wonderful family that supported him as well. Good to see him getting some well-deserved minutes in Division 1.
Bradford working the high-low. Sulks to Osborne is blocked.
Yeah.
However, a little bit of contact on the arm as well.
Yeah, and that's players versus refs 101, isn't it? That one, that's I got all ball ref. No, it didn't look like it from here on the arm. 2 shots to come. 2 minutes to go. Great goes back to the line.
Yeah, and he's really made an impact for this Bradford team. He's the youngest on the roster by a considerable margin, and obviously joined at Christmas. His 2 games so far, averaging 14.5 points a game, 8.5 boards as well. So a real impact, and another young player that's impacting the league, as we're starting to see across numerous teams in NBL.
Well, yeah, and BBL now with Cameron Hildress exit from Worthing and arrival at Surrey, and there goes KV.
Oh, big block by Sulks, but Pinnock will have 7. Checks the shot clock. Maitland working on the wing.
Move. That's a
flop by.
And there's KV again.
Yeah.
And you know, Michael, let's draw some attention to that, where these young guys coming in playing Division 1 with senior professional players and making a real impact on both sides of the floor. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it was, and he was outstanding.
No pun intended.
And he was outstanding last week in the second half against Nottingham here at the Wildcats. As Sulks works on Daru, leaves the left a little bit short, and Chuck Daru will knock it out of bounds. But yeah, we've seen this academy, and we'll talk a little bit later in the broadcast about the academy system, and me and Matt were talking pre-game about some of the plans for Reading, so we'll touch upon that later in the broadcast. But big things coming in, and it's always helpful when you've got veterans around the youngsters, and O'Shawn Williams is a great example. He's done a lot for this Reading team early in his stint. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think when you have veteran players, a veteran at like early 20s, listen to me, but when you have that kind of stuff and the groups around you, then you've got such a great environment to build on. Coaches have got opportunities to play young players. You've got a real good mix, and it's good to see that around the league. And as Sulks came into the game, I wanted to draw back your attention. Nice out of bounds.
Lykoudis for 3, 34%, so one that looked like Alan Keane was not happy giving up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that'll be frustrating, because that'll be straight off the scouting report, especially on the out of bounds stuff, as Chuck looks for that little 18-footer.
Yeah, and again, game has slowed down in the last couple of minutes, which probably suits Bradford more, as Osborne found underneath. Maitland tried to get the block, but yet again, Reading fouling at the rim, and Great Osborne will have a chance to convert a 3-point play. Bradford up 5 as we are into the final minute here in Nottingham.
And when you see that again, that was KV live in transition, and Chuck just getting lost, and Chuck left the guy under the rim, and KV wasn't back, so they hadn't inverted it correctly at the right time, and then they just left Great under the bucket for probably the easiest basket he's going to get. So that'll be an interesting one, and Coach Keane will look at that, but not till way after the game. As we said, both teams on for nigh on 100, so the first team that starts getting some stops and getting those runs is going to have to come from defence. It will be the team that makes defence first.
Yeah, and Rockets again pushing in transition, but Reece Pinnock unable to hold on to it on the end line, and Reading with their 5th turnover of the first quarter.
Yeah, and 2 of those in like half court with advantage as well. So they're the ones that get you. And we will also try and keep an eye on the comments as well. So thank you to everyone that's watching at the moment. 130 of you that are live tuned in at Saturday afternoon. Good to see you. John Hobbs will be there, and some of the Tony Shorey and some of the coaches that have obviously been around a bit. Ben Lander as well, one of Matt's closest friends. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as well. So enjoy yourselves whilst you're watching this game. And drop some messages in if there's some things you want to hear us talk about, or if there's some players you want us to mention, or you just want to raise a point.
Yeah, into the final 35 seconds. We'll see if Reading can get a quick 2 for 1. It looks like they do. Ben Dixon wide open, left 3 is off. And Bradford will come away with it about a 5-second shot clock, game clock differential as the hosts lead by 6. Margai now looking for Osborne on the wing. 3 is off, and O'Shawn Williams will have the last shot of the quarter. 10 seconds to go.
And let's see now if Reading can get the last shot as well, because that's what they'll want. Wow. They did get the last shot. Yeah,
a little bit early on the clock, contested 3, but the quality of Williams shown through there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's his 3rd 3 as well, Michael. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but each one of them with pretty much a hand in his face and, you know, getting some separation. And for a lot of the younger players that are out there now that are watching the Currys and the Hardens and things like that, you'll do a lot worse and look at some of the guard play in this league at the moment and knocking down shots at a high percentage, but also being able to create your own shot. And, you know, we've had 45 points in 10 minutes. So we said at the beginning of the game, this game could go either way. And they're very difficult to call, even when previous games have been offensively high or defensively high, because the nature of this league and the quality of opposition and teams coming in and out from different COVID things and the ability to get on the floor, it's a really unpredictable league. So I should imagine we've got a lot more of this to come, but there'll certainly be some interesting stuff now. What do you think the coaches will be looking for, Michael, in this first time that they've got to assess their groups?
Yeah, I think both teams, obviously, we were talking about transition, especially after made buckets. We've seen both teams be able to run and really push the ball despite getting scored on. And I think for Alan Keane, he'll probably be looking to look after the ball a little bit. It's kind of uncharacteristic of this Reading team, really, to turn over the ball. We do a great job looking after it normally, but a little bit sloppy on time with the handles and the transition. And if we can tidy that up, they're the ones that can win a game, especially in 2 teams that are super competitive. Yeah,
and a couple of comments to draw your attention to as well. So Ben Lander, who apparently was a Reading Rockets player, but no one seems to remember him here. So we're only joking with you, Ben. Good to see you commenting as well, and Ross Stepney and Chris Hallam as well. You're talking about the Warriors for the Hoods game at 5. Coach Thorne, Josh Thorne, talking about what do they need to do, what do Rockets need to do against that Bradford zone as well. And a couple of things that we'll see that we haven't yet seen. We haven't seen the ball touch the lane. We haven't seen anyone being able to create an opening and attack the basket to create anything on an inside-out shot. And all we've really seen is we had a couple of turnovers, and Dixon took an early 3 against it when you had 2 other sort of strike shooters on the same side of the floor. So I would say if you're Mellor, he's probably happy with that zone. And you'll probably see more of that coming back. I doubt he'll stay in it for a long time in the game, but I should imagine you'll see it as the game tips off.
And we talked about trying to keep the ball out, and to me that looked like he managed just about to keep his foot in bounds.
He was just on the line, I think.
Another comment
3
I've just
referees,
seen.
Michael, they will not miss one like that.
A couple of people I've seen in chat as well. One of my former players and a former Reading player, and Elena, in the chat. Krumesh from Sweden. Score is 24-21 to the Bradford Dragons after 1. Osborne, unsportsmanlike foul, and the jam, and we will be seeing that highlight play for weeks to come. Great Osborne having a big impact for Bradford off the bench. Steal, slam, score, and the unsportsmanlike, and a chance for perhaps as much as a 6-point play here for the Dragons.
Yeah, and what a start. First 10 seconds, isn't it? You know, first 10 seconds, Bradford get off and running, get out on the break, and young KV just puts his hand in the back of the player. Whichever way that looks, that has to be called unsportsmanlike. And Coach Keane will speak to him about that. That's a learning point. That's great, just misses that one from the line, but it's had a terrific start. Really energised this group. Albert Margai as well.
Yeah, and
veteran point guard, played BBL, EBL 1, consistent winner, consistent, terrific defender, and floor marshal.
Yeah, Bradford a little bit unorganised on the sideline, out of bounds. Albert Mario wanting to get into a horn set and Great Osborne missing it. Shot clock on
down
4.
to 3.
Margot still directing Jay,
know.
doesn't have a clue. And he does not. Oh no, they do say he gets the shot off, but it doesn't matter. Reading with the rebound,
And
out in
goes
transition.
Williams.
Francis trailing, see if they can find him, but no.
Yeah, and that's the difference, isn't it? Where, you know, Albert will be disappointed when he watches that back. They couldn't get into it. He's frustrated.
Armstrong gets Derulo in the air, unable to convert, and Reading will.
And
Williams.
That's Fetsky at his absolute best.
And Reading again in transition. Pinnock missed a layup, but Leon Francis, easy put back.
I'm going to say that's the first Leon Francis basket, is that right?
I believe so, and another foul. But again, we talked about it at the interval. Made basket one end, transition layup at the other. And
and it's the time when, even when you're coaching at the youngest ages, you're saying the time to catch the other team out is when they've scored. That's the time to catch them out. And if you can catch them out, then you've got to throw it long. And, you know, it's something that it was really prevalent maybe 10 years ago that teams are really trying to javelin the pass down the floor. Then we had this whole period of, like, walking the ball up the floor. It's really good to see. And I think the skill level of the bigs now is improved so much over the last decade. And the expectation of being able to get a rebound, put it down and throw it the length of the court. I mean, how great is that to see? And it means that defensive transition has got to be much, much better.
Yeah, for sure. And Sam Tolawasi will check back in for the Rockets, who, as Osborne misses a second, trail by 2. It's 27-25, 1 minute into the second quarter as Pinnock loses the handle and turns it over. I think he was hoping Margot had deflected it, but just a little bit of a loose handle.
You know what, as well, I think Coach Keene's going to live with that. I think he really likes Reese going downhill at people. When he gets that going, and he's about quarter of an inch away from about 4 more points. Rockets showing zone as well, Michael.
Yeah, back into 2-3. Bradford high-low. Salts, Fetsky, and we have seen that before.
Yep. Yeah, we certainly have. And that's a team that's prepped as well, isn't it? That's a team that's really prepped. They know what sort of zone that they're going to face. They go immediately without shadow of a doubt. They're on it. And you know what's difficult about that is, it's a close game. We're still long way off from anything really important or game-changing happening. But it just gives you a bit of confidence if you're Bradford. It gives you a bit of confidence, and it means that Coach Keene's got something to solve now, and the players should be knowing, they should be getting that right. But this is what happens in sport, and it's a great opportunity now to regroup and be interesting to see what Bradford do now, what they come out of here doing. They've had some real success with their zone, and they've had a good bit of success as well when they've come across Rocket zone. So interesting time ahead, Michael.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can pick it up on the audio in the arena, but Coach Alan Keane is steaming with the high-low. It's obviously something we've talked about in prep for the game, and he's left no words unturned that he's expecting better. In the first possession from the zone, you give up a layup. It's not what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And people on the chat as well. Got to take that high post away. Yeah, absolutely. But the Bradford are ready for it. They'll run stuff. There won't be anything easy coming in this game. So here we go.
Yeah, Bradford 29, Reading 25. That was a timeout by Coach Alan Keane, first of the afternoon for him.
Yeah.
As looks like Bradford are back in this 3-2 zone we talked about. Williams, another three. Make that 4 of 4.
He is smoking hot at the minute, and thank goodness as well, because good rebound. And Saltz again just gets himself to such great positions. That's the first miss for a show, and they could have called that a heat check.
Yeah, that's a definite heat check. 4-4, you've got license as a player to shoot one.
I'm not sure if you could catch it as there, but we had Fetsky then guarded by Tolawasi and gets absolutely nothing. Tolawasi being, senior veteran, and back into Francis. And this is the type of stuff now that Coach Keane would have said out the timeout. He'd have said, we've got to defend properly, we've got to defend with some passion. And Tolawasi comes straight and gets his hand on a couple of things, and we find the inside, and that's where Francis is at his absolute most dangerous. And anyone watching Rockets games has seen it. And
it looks like they're going to call a blocking foul on Ben Dixon there, just a little bit late. I think it was Fetsky, he was just coming down with the ball, so needed room to land, and Dixon just didn't quite give him that, as Andre Lykoudis checks back in for the Dragons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say to you as well, did mention it at the beginning, and if you look at the foul count at the moment, for those of you that can't see it on the scoreboard, that is the ninth foul against Rockets, and only one still against Bradford, and it's a tied game. So that's going to kind of tell you the way that the teams are set up, and with the way Rockets, I think, have hit 5 threes, and Bradford have answered every one of them, getting back to the rim, and they hold a 1-point lead early on and show a little bit of zone press, which they get some success out of.
Yep, jump ball, and with the arrow favouring the Dragons, that will be another turnover. And we have seen in previous games Rockets struggle a little bit with the press.
Yeah, which is strange, because a very senior group on the floor as well. I think credit to the defence on that one. They just got a hand in there, and you know, if you've got a defender as tough as Margai is, then you're going into his world right there.
Yeah, and another thing on the foul
great
count,
defence by
Pinnock
Pinnock
gets in front of Margai. That's a Reece Pinnock special, and obviously come from the Loughborough programme, and everyone knows he's a tenacious on-ball defender, and we see it yet again.
Yeah, and you know what as well, Pinnock's an underrated defender, I think. I don't think we talk about him enough like that. He's one of the guys that does come up and put his hand on the defensive end. And when he starts lacing that with that 3 that he knocked down earlier and some transition stuff, Pinnock is an absolute handful for any team in the league. And what a great matchup that is, isn't it? Margai against Pinnock. What a great one.
Yeah, just a little bit of a floor issue here, just try and dry it off. But it'll be interesting to see if Reading go back to Leon Francis or Williams here, because they really have propelled the Rockets on the scoring column this year, both averaging coming in 19 a game. And last couple of possessions, it looks like there has been more of an emphasis from Reading of trying to find their 2 leading scorers to get them back into this game. Yeah,
absolutely. And Coach Ollie, he also talks about that. Coach Ollie's saying really good level of stream and also great commentary. So well done to NBL Live and all the work that you guys do. 2 well-coached teams are playing. He's absolutely spot on with that. Rockets point guard, one of the best in D1. That's what he thinks after seeing it. And I think, absolutely right. Tolawase is unbelievable balance and power.
Yeah, really, really patient under the rim.
We're not going to say how old he is either.
No, but it's that veteran experience, being able to take your time under the rim, not force anything up too early, get yourself balanced and rise up as Bradford miss, and it looks like Fetsky can't pull in the rebound. An interesting question in the chat, but from Michael Darlow, we'll probably need a little bit of time to get to that, so we'll put that on the burner for the next time out.
We'll put that one on the thesis page, Michael. What makes a great assistant? Okay, well, we'll let you work that out, as you are the great assistant at Hebel, so you can give us some information in the chat as well. But what a great question as Reece goes dancing 1-to-1.
Yeah,
there's a lot more of that what we've seen.
Oh, and Margai slipped, and he's holding his right knee by looks of it, and seems to be in a bit of discomfort. So
and
hopefully it's just a little bit of a bone bruise from landing straight on his knee and nothing more serious.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you're going to get to see a little replay of that. And you're seeing some of the best stuff about Reece Pinnock as well. And we said this was one of the matchups. One of the matchups. So this is probably the right time to have a quick shout out to 2 young ladies that will be watching. So Amelia and Isabel Redfern, you will see your dad proudly managing this team and managing this situation as well, looking after the players all the way through.
And here you can see Margai just looks like he almost goes to push off to stay in front of Pinnock, and his left knee almost just collapsed on him almost.
Yeah. Not nice to see that as well. No. And I think, unfortunately, this is something that, this is part of the COVID situation where players are trying to keep themselves in tip-top condition, and they go from training load to game load. And it's something like I know a lot of coaches and sports physios and managers are all talking about at the moment how best to protect their players.
Reading had time to work out an inbound play, nearly threw it away, but Pinnock's going to shoot the 3 over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saltz even, and makes it. And Reading really struggled from 3 last week here at the Wildcats Arena, but today, completely different story. Now it's
there we go. A little bit of the right back at you from Coach Keane with the 1-2-2 zone press, where sending 2 guards at it, and good if you can see that again.
Yeah, and Rockets 7 of 12 from 3 early on here, as Coach Chris Mellor decides it's time to call timeout. So I suppose we better have a quick go up
Need a
Mr.
breather,
Michael
don't we?
Darlow's question.
We
though.
need a bit of a breather. I'm going to let you go with that one, Michael, because you're a lot younger than me. You're a lot younger than me. Give me the things that you feel make a great assistant coach, and let's consider this in this division. So we're talking NBL Division 1, senior division with professional players, professional coaches, and some with academy groups as well, and guys that are doing semi-pro. So what things are there from your experience that will be really useful for the guys to hear about?
Yeah, I think the main thing is working out what your head coach needs. That's the first thing.
Great point.
What are you doing? So I was here in Nottingham with Dave Greenway, and ultimately my job as assistant coach was on the defensive end.
Yeah.
So I had a lot more charge over defensive schemes, over matchups, whereas some coaches prefer and have that defensive background, and then it'll allow different people to call sets and input different things. So that's always a key thing. And the thing is as well, it's on a game day, it's being active, knowing the scouting report, being able to interact with the players on the bench as they come in and out of the game, and also manage little things like foul counts. That's a big thing, especially for like a Reading today. Alan Keane needs to know if someone's on a second or third foul, because he's got to make that split-second decision. Are they staying in and trusting them, or do they need to come? And we saw that last week. Yeah,
good. Great points, Michael. We'll try and pick a bit more of that as well. There's some comments in there as Rockets are leading by 4. And now coming, great matchup again here. Tough call as well. Tough call on Jermaine. Jermaine, a prime Premier defender in this division as well.
Yeah, one of the more athletic guards in the league.
Absolutely, and don't underestimate the power of the defensive stopper. It's so important. We're in a league full of offense now, in a game full of offense. There's going to be a lot of time for people like this. And he's got his hands full here with Williams. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, Rockets working a short shot clock. Francis
nice
high
look
post.
For Francis
goes
right at him.
Way and makes it.
Yeah.
Leon Francis, tough layup.
I think Francis has got the strongest hands in the history of basketball. I don't think you could hit him with a sledgehammer.
And a foul.
I think there's 2 fouls before that one as well.
Yeah, it looked like a little bump on the initial drive, but referee let it go and then called an eventual foul on Francis, and Bradford back to the line. Seemed the place where they're living. They're going to be their 12th and 13th attempts at the line. Reading yet to visit the charity stripe this afternoon.
Incredible, isn't it? And yet the team that hasn't gone to the free throw line, has fouled the most, is up. And this is what is amazing about this game. For all you statos out there, you've got to understand that it doesn't actually mean the flow of the game. The stats will tell you one story, and being here and seeing the differences in the teams and the coaching battles that are going on is just brilliant.
Yeah, and I think the other thing from a coaching point of view is Reading haven't really argued about many of the foul calls even. You see so many people get caught up on the foul count, but I don't think really there's an argument from anyone here that that's how it should be called so far.
Yeah, and 3 referees and really good quality as we see Latrell Maitland come in for Dixon, who picked up his 2nd foul. Let's see now if Reading can continue to get a good looking shot out of this. It's with Williams, they're going under 10 seconds. Good defense on the ball by Jermaine. Leaves Reese, that looks short.
Yeah, and Bradford with a really big lineup as well. Didn't really touch upon it, but Solks, Fetsky and Umekwe all on the court, all
tough
inside.
Broken matchups here now, and yet again, good pickup by Pinnett.
Yeah.
How on earth did that come
and
out?
They called a late foul, but I think one that you could expect with the amount of contact. And
we've got the replay on that, Michael. What can you see?
The first one is clean, but then yeah, you can see it. That's a great call. And actually, really, Kate Untworth does a great job. She's not really got a great angle of that. And his referee in front of us, Jordan Radwell, had the better view, but Pinnock reached in. Solks had got 2 hands on the ball, knocked it loose, and Reading in the penalty. So
well, one of the Premier officials, and great to see Kate in Division 1. We don't see enough of her there. We see a lot of her doing the BBL games as well. And 3 referees, great quality as well.
Yeah, and it's a nice mix as well. You've got one of the younger referees coming up through NBL in Jordan Radwell on the game, and he's got some experience around, and they're the great things we want to see. And we've talked always about the need for more officials.
Yeah, absolutely.
And having that younger balance is always great, as Bradford cut the gap to 4 as we crossed the midway point of the second quarter. Bradford 33, Reading 37.
Yeah, and we'll have a look at the lead changes as well, because Tolawezi he likes that spot.
The basket will be good, and we'll see. There's a foul underneath. The question is, who is it on? I think it's going on a Bradford player.
And we've got a holding foul, 22.
That is Umekwe,
Yep.
so that will be of...
Let's have another little shout out, Dan Watts from the legendary Watts family. I think Tintin will be arriving in the building later on today to do the NBL live game.
Indeed, John Hobbs and Tintin Watts on the call.
Yeah.
Nottingham Hoods and Leicester Warriors at 5 o'clock as Maitland skips the baseline, stays in bounds, finds Pinnock, 5 on the clock.
Oh, it's another
Dish shot
one,
to Francis.
and he's gone and found him again.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, let's look at that. You know, when we get a time, if you see it again, you're going to see 2 counter drives, one by Latrell. You're going to see here on the end of that. What a great pass, isn't it? Talking about players being able to pass off the dribble.
Yeah,
Experience of that, and talking about Leon Francis' hands just ready to receive the ball. And he doesn't miss free throws either. There you go, I've said it, I've got it out of the way. Is that the first free throw for Reading, Michael?
I believe so, unless we've fallen asleep and missed a pair at the line this quarter. That is Reading's first attempt of the day.
Yeah.
Got to line a bunch last week as Lang's spin move.
Yeah.
Layup is off, and
Great
Bradford
rebound.
really struggling to convert
Francis
the rim right
in
now.
transition, what we've got here. Oh.
Good challenge by Osborne. We've seen the development of that as well. The bigs managing to stay straight up and not fouling, and Solent really the best at that. But you've seen it from the likes of Derby, and that's a big thing for bigs to learn.
Yeah.
Contesting without fouling as Williams strips the ball.
That's another hand, and I think some of these things are really picking up on. Rockets' defense has significantly improved. Bradford's scoring dropped down, but the thing to when you're watching this game back is Bradford have had about 6 times they've got to the rim and they've missed. So that sort of thing can change. So we're going to keep an eye on that later. Good to see so many of you watching now, nearly up to 175, 180. We've also opened a can of worms about the assistant coach's job, and we've got Coach Chris Hallam saying standpoint, an assistant coach needs to do 3 things: manage player mindsets as they leave and join the game. What a wonderful point that is. Support the head coach by reinforcing the key messages. That was you, Michael. And offer advice on game adjustments.
And I've just had a WhatsApp from Krumesh in Sweden, which I'll get onto in a bit, which has made me laugh.
Brilliant.
But yeah, Bradford again working big to
move.
big, and again they just can't convert around the rim. And I spoke to Chris Malley yesterday, and he said he wasn't overly concerned about the low field goal percentage. Bradford coming in at 41%, second lowest in the entire league.
Yeah.
And he felt like the travel was some of that, but really right now it's just they can't convert layups.
Yeah, and it's you're talking about some really difficult stuff that these guys they're actually, the expectation is high on them. And when you're in Division 1, it's good to see we've got Max Richardson, a couple of other guys that are joining us at players on the stream as well. The ability to beat someone one-on-one at full click and finish with composure and balance is not the easiest skill. So let's see if that slightly changes later on as Fetsky, no, Saltz drops that one down. It's a second one. Sam Grant just gets missed.
Yeah.
Showing good on-ball defence there.
And again, Grant trying to post up. We talked about that early, but Pinnock in the strong drive, and that's
left hand off the off foot. That's what we're talking about. This is what we want to see. Division 1 men's, high-level NBL, good athletes, good finishes.
Yeah, and Lang driving in and lays it home, and really a much-needed field goal for the Dragons.
This is a great matchup, isn't it? O'Show Williams against Lang is another great matchup that we've got coming up. And I'd say right now, Lang has got the better of him. 2 layups on the bounce. Timeout, Coach Keane, and a very good one.
Yeah, and I thought, really, that's a huge 30 seconds for Bradford. Really, they're on the ropes. And if anything, you were thinking it's Coach Mellor that needed to use his second timeout. But Dragons just held on. And then when you're struggling to score in the half court, what's the best thing to do? Get stops and get out and run. And that's what Bradford have done back-to-back. Jermaine Lang now into double digits for the Rockets. Leads all scores with 11, Pinnock and Williams 12 for the Rockets. And no doubt what Coach Alan Keane will be discussing in his timeout is transition defence.
Yeah, and I think what we're looking at now is the game's starting to turn, and it's twisting and turning, isn't it? Where we've had Bradford have had a really good run, got to the basket. Rockets have changed defences, and they've just kind of picked up where they need to be in the half court. And then we go back to Rockets getting some offense, looking really crisp for a time, knocking shots down, and then finding the inside guys as well. And now back to Bradford. Bradford come up with 2 really big stops. Lang's coming off the bench as they lose Albert Margai, that looks from here as though he could be out for the game. But Lang comes in and gives them a real big lift, and then 2 layups, and the game looks different all of a sudden.
Yeah, Jermaine Lang coming in averaging a little bit of a quiet spell recently for him, only 7.5 points a game.
And he had 4 in 30 seconds right there.
Yeah. And
so he's on for about 100 if he carries on like that.
Yeah, but he's one that's really solidified this Bradford wing spot. It's something they've had a little bit of problem with. The front court has been solid for Bradford for numerous years, but they've never had that dynamic wing, and Lang has really stepped up and filled a role, especially in the Old Lynch Trophy this season. He was electric early on.
Absolutely, and I sound like I'm the Salts fan club, but I can tell you he does so much for this group where he can play literally the 3-4-5, can defend any spot.
Looks like a 1-3-1 zone for the Dragons out the timeout.
Nice
Tolawasi down low.
Nice move.
4 sets of hands on it. We'll see who comes up with it. It is Sulks, sat on by Tolawasi. Don't see that every day. And Rockets will push in transition, see if they can get anything like Kudus. Great cross-court pass. Lang to the rim, misses the layup. Maybe Sam Grant got a block, and it'll be Rockets out in transition. Tolawasi in front of the
what a nice pass by Maitland as well, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing, you see the young guards being able to make passes off the dribble. And we talked about it from Pinnock. It's not something you necessarily expect from Latrell Maitland, but again, he's got the skill set, and he's got a great teacher as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there's another hand on it, and Rockets are off and running again, and that's a great pass. Finished by Grant up the rim, timeout to Bradford. What a return. This is NBL 1 at its best. Bradford on the run, get a 4-0 run. Coach Keane stops the run, goes straight out, answers it back with perimeter defense, go running right down the lane. Sam Grant comes in, gets a block and a dunk in 30 seconds, and the game has changed yet again. Rockets extend the lead to 12.
Yeah, and just talk about here, Matt, a little bit of strategy for the coaches since we seems to be a really coach-heavy chat at the moment. Just talk about managing fouls down here, and Reading up 12, perhaps a little chance now to perhaps sit some players that are on 2 fouls.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the job, isn't it, where you're talking about the assistant coach and the head coach, and we've been joined by Andrea Norton, and she's enjoying a lot of coaching over the years, and a number of them will be looking at this, and Coach Greg as well. And it's really interesting that the things that you can actually pick up on. And yes, coaches have got to do so much more than just choose offenses and defense. They've certainly got to manage the lineups, the fouls, but also making sure you're seeing what the opposition are doing. You've got to have guys when Bradford goes zone, that you've got to make sure you've got guys that play well against zone. It doesn't mean shooters. You've got to manage the minutes of the guys as well. You've got to manage the confidence levels. Leon Francis, one of the leading scorers, doesn't get many shots early on. Coach comes in, runs a couple of things. Leon now looks like a different guy. So there is many things that these coaches are working on. And this is certainly not just waiting for Saturday to come. So let's enjoy the rest of this 2 minutes, and let's see what the answer this time was from both coaches.
Yeah, Bradford 38, Reading 50 as we are into the final. Just about 2 minutes, and looked like a turnover, double deflection there.
And I think fortunate for Rockets there, Michael, I think Chris Mellor comes out with ball screen offense, tries to get Fetsky a little look, nearly got it. And I think Dixon just slapped it away. Yeah,
and we'll see if Reading can extend this lead. Maitland goes for a little alley-oop attempt almost, but doesn't quite get hold of it. And Bradford will have a chance to get this into single digits once again.
I think they call that ambitious.
And a straightaway free. Bradford really struggled, but again, Osborne on the glass.
And what you're going to see there is Sam Grant and Leon Francis, the best rebounders, were out guarding on the perimeter. So they got caught on a mismatch, and then Great just suddenly comes down. That's another good look by Sam. Good interplay.
Yeah, and really Rockets, maybe a concern coming in after Christmas was the loss of their Canadian Louis Dingalo, who was great before Christmas. And
wonderful guy.
Forced Rockets to be a little bit smaller, especially with Johnny Foltz not here today. And so far, Reading have really done a good job adapting to that as they force another turn of Pinnock in transition, goes to the Euro step, manages to save it, not a travel.
Yeah, good.
And Rockets will slow it down as we into the final minute. Francis driving on like Kudus, and
he'll be disappointed on that, Michael. I think he'll be disappointed not to finish that. I think the way the floor's been spread, and playing with 3 guards now, and in comes after that run, in comes a Showen, and Reese gets a well-deserved break. And if any of you younger guys are on the floor or are on the stream, just take a look at that. Just have a look at that and see if you watch the way that Reese is defending. He's giving Rockets so many extra possessions. Right now, him, Latrell Maitland, Ben Dixon, much better perimeter defense. And Sam Grant, credit to him. I think I'm going to say the assistant coach, Dan Lloyd, has corrected a couple of things.
And a lot of contact on the putback attempt by Williams, but a no call. And checking in for the Rockets the first time, missed it earlier, is Edvardas Gundman.
Yeah, and that's that broker matchup again. So this is very interesting. This is a problem for Coach Keane because he has to put his bigger defenders on Fetsky and Saltz, and that meant that Maitland got stuck on Great Osobor.
Yeah, and there's not really a good matchup on the floor. Yeah. Sam Grant knocks down the three. Just talking about him assisting, knocks down his second triple of the afternoon. Rockets up by 13.
And that's the game, isn't it, right there? Because it's tough to defend him, and now Rockets have got to defend this big, experienced lineup. And there's Saltz again.
And another missed layup by the veteran. And Reading will push. The shot clock is off, but they will push anyway. Williams tries to find Grant and will turn it over. And again, Rockets a little bit sloppy, and a couple of tweaks in transition, and this could be a 20-point game. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And also it could be an 8-point game. It's 13, and it feels like it could be 20.
Yeah, and looked like Sam Grant just pulled his hands away, thinking Williams was going to finish, and last-minute change. And
hey, credit to Great Osobor on that one, because he's challenged so many shots. Williams is thinking twice about it, thinks he's going to dish it off for another little dunk. But you just put the offense into a place of indecision.
And we'll see what we can do. Williams steals it, lays it home, and that is a big swing of momentum heading into half-time as the buzzer goes. And again, it's Reading's defence that is impacting this game.
Yeah, and look at that as well. I think this is one of the things that when we do the streams from Rockets and when we have our stream team games with myself and Mark, one of the first things to look at is your defensive front line, which is really the most important defenders you have are the ones that are on the ball, and that is generally your smalls and your guards. And just to see the end of that quarter where the 5 seconds before Rockets miss 2-on-1 transition, they miss it, goes out of bounds, and to turn that into a score on the buzzer is just a credit of Sherwin Williams there for a bit of personal dignity, get himself down, comes up, picks a pocket. And I think you can see where Coach Keane's teams are starting to turn the corner. It's going to be a very, very difficult third and fourth quarter because Bradford, as I've said to you before, Bradford have the DNA where at any time they're going to knock down a couple of shots. And I wanted to shout out, I was going to say before, if any of you haven't seen Salks' game when they beat Solent about 2 years ago, where he hits about 3 threes in a minute, it's worth your time finding it on YouTube to see the kind of character that you've got in the middle of this Bradford team, led by Mellor, but Salks and Fetsky are definitely Mr. I was going to say Mr. and Mrs., but Mr. and Mr. Bradford.
I say, was that the last time Solent lost a game to a Division 1 team?
It might well have been, and it took Superman and Batman and Robin to beat them.
Yeah, it was. I think the last three was from pretty much where we are, which is halfway between the top of the three-point line and the halfway line. It was a deep contested three, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll look at half-time coming up. For Bradford, Jermaine Lang, 11 points. Great Osobor, 13. But really the struggle for Bradford has been around the rim. Fetsky and Salks are combined 2 of 9 shooting. And for really Reading, it's by committee. 4 players in double digits. Sam Grant also on 8, and it's that starting 5 for the Rockets that's really done the damage. So O'Shawn Williams leading all scores with 14 points to go with 4 assists. Reece Pinnock, 12 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds. Sam Tolawasi, 10 points. Leon Francis, 11 and 6 on 83% shooting. And really, it's been a game that's been played in 2 different styles. We've seen the transition game, and then we went through a middle spell where it really went back to a half-court game, and then at the end of the half, it exploded again in transition. And Reading really seemed to be the team that have controlled the transition battle.
Yeah, and I think actually this is from when Vladan was doing a lot of coaching with our national teams and talking about teams that want to play in transition have to want to play in defence in the half-court. And you just saw that in that second quarter. You really saw a thirst to defend the ball, and we really saw a thirst for the perimeter guys to get down and not get beaten one-on-one. You see some terrific individual defence from Jermaine Lang there from Bradford, but you've also seen some stuff now with Reece and with Latrell and with the guys coming in and Sam Tolawasi putting themselves in the right positions defensively. That allowed Reading to get out. And what starts to happen is you trust your teammate to get a steal, you trust him to get a stop, so the weak side, then you can really run in transition on that weak side. That's the sort of stuff where we're linking defence to transition to offence. And that's where basketball is just beautiful. So I think, Alan, Coach Keane will be unhappy with giving up 42. I think he'll be surprised at scoring 57. because a Rockets team on for close to 120 is not always something that you see. But credit to them, because that's defense promoting offense, and as a lot of you in the stream are talking about that.
Yeah, and I think the thing to just touch upon at that point is Bradford coming in with the third best defensive record in the league.
Yeah.
Okay, they struggled last week at Essex, but that was a rarity. They were only giving up 78.5 a game coming in, and to score 57. And I'm talking with Chris Melly again yesterday. He wasn't massively worried about the defence. He thought it was just a thing, especially because Bradford have had one of the toughest COVID situations. They've not really had it, but the effect of a venue, they're training now. They're only just gone back to training twice a week at a venue in Calderdale, and obviously they're coming down all the way here to Nottingham to play home games, which is a 2-hour trip, and that's been a challenge. But really, Reading have looked comfortable on the offensive end, and they're getting whatever they want. Yeah,
and as you start seeing some of the sponsors things on the screen, and we got to say a big thank you to that. We'll just finish off looking at some of the comments, and the first one is well done to Dan Watts, because he's got the best emoji game going on, because he's the only one. Mike Iverson as well. We've got a bit of emoji action going on with there. And Mike, what a compliment. Both of these commentators sound like coaches. Wow. And I hope you don't sound too surprised with that. I think NBL Live is a fantastic product, and we're thrilled to be giving that to you as well. We really hope that it gives you a little bit more of an insight, and more of an insight into all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes with the incredible IT departments and the work that they're doing to get good quality streams out and just talk about our sport. And Dan Watts said best half of basketball I've seen all season, a great advertisement of English basketball. And how great is that to hear from a local coach as well, and people like that. So let's make sure that these games are really well followed, and to have nearly 200, then thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
What is commitment? We have commitment is very difficult to do everything. Without commitment, sport is nothing. Without commitment, sport can be just recreational tool. Like if we want to have sport as educational tool, it has to be commitment.
So Slam Jam, it's a new initiative by Basketball England, targeted at 7 to 11-year-olds. It's about getting the children to have fun, to link basketball with a fun experience so that we can get lifelong involvement in the sport. And it's really focused on engagement and a fun, positive first experience. So it's not so much about the skill development side of basketball. It's really just about giving people a positive first experience of basketball. They're having fun, they're with their friends, they can develop at their own pace in their own time. So it's really developing on coordination, core strength, as well as basketball skills. So there's not necessarily basketball specific games, but they've got basketballs thrown in there. So they're working on dribbling, shooting, passing in a less structured environment than like a training session. And it's Yeah, just focused on fun and getting primary school age children engaged. When they come to the first Slam Jam session, they get a t-shirt which they can keep. Each primary school they get some Slam Jam basketballs and a little goodie bag that the children can take home. And another thing, throughout the session, if we see like someone's doing really good at a certain skill or teamwork or being just nice and friendly to other people, they can get stickers. Good practice in sportsmanship as well as being good at the skills. So I think the reason this program is different is that there's a 12-week curriculum and there's different things to work on. And obviously, as a coach, you can kind of chop and change a little bit as is appropriate for the age group that you're teaching. But it just means that everybody's getting that same fun, first positive experience. Literally, we're just trying to get them to have positive experiences with basketball so that later on they can be maybe even just a supporter of the game. Go online, get in touch with Basketball England. They can also search Slam Jam for the local centres to them that run the initiative, and they can inquire and maybe even get a coach to come in and run a 12-week session.
The semi-final by 12 points and move through to the gold medal game. They're guaranteed a medal here.
And the standard is certainly closing between NBL and BBL, and we'll talk about that further in the second half as Reading gets back underway. Reminder, the Rockets lead by 15 at half-time. O'Shawn Williams was on fire from 3 early on, went 4-4 to start the game. First attempt of the second half rims out, and Bradford will have a chance to cut this deficit.
Yeah, and I think what we'll see that on that switch where you'll see O'Shawn had great Osobor switch to him, and it'd be interesting to see, because I think Alan wants to see O'Shawn go after him. I don't think he wants him. What a move. What a move. But I don't think from the other side, I don't think we want to see O'Shawn shoot over the guy when he's so close to him. I think you want to see him beat him and get fouls racked up. And the other end, exactly what happens. One-on-one in the post. Young man spins, gets contact and finishes.
And that'll be Leon France's first of the afternoon. So not real massive foul trouble for Rockets, despite racking up 13, 14 fouls in probably the first 13 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this matchup is the one that we're going to be interested in. It's Bradford going with three bigs.
Another pass. What a pass.
Yeah, Tolawasi, Pinnock, unable to come up with him. Bradford go. But yeah, Bradford running with three bigs a lot. And that's the adjustment Chris Mellor's made that probably wasn't on the scout early on to go big. And Reading have had that transition advantage. But Bradford has slowly started to find ways to get the ball in advantage situations in the paint, as Williams this time knocks down the wide open three.
And Michael, I think that's the difference. And again, we refer back to young players. He's come down, he's missed a shot, he's got to defend it, he's got a wide open one and just knocks it down. Absolutely calm. So really, really good offense. Good pass as well. I think that was Sam Tolawasi with a great pass. Here's the pick and pop. That's Fetsky's money ball right there.
And Bradford didn't shoot a lot in the first half. We had the Lykudas three early on, but that was it. Only 1 of 4 from the perimeter in the first half. So way to get back into it. Threes are worth more than 2, so it always helps as Pinnock catches the ball on the right. Reading still with plenty of time on the shot clock, 12 left. Pinnock and Grant, we'll probably see Grant pop. Yeah, he does, but Pinnock Great hesitation dribble. Francis somehow holds on to it. Triple teamed. Layup
and
is
Sam
no good.
Grant again on the boards. Good rebound by Fetsky, but good to see. Good patience by Pinnock. Then he had a chance. He could have shot a couple of those. I know a few of you are bidding for him to be in the NBA.
And a foul on the floor, and perhaps this Reading foul trouble, what kind of went away in the last 5 minutes of the first half, is creeping back in. That will be Sam Grant's third, so he will have to be careful. And
interesting matchup. He's got Sam on picking up great, who pulls up for three.
Leaves
comes
it a
out.
little short, and another contested rebound pulled down the Rockets, and a 3-on-2. See what Williams does.
Yeah.
Well, just waltzes to the rim wide open. No one picked up the ball. Nice and easy.
And Chris Mellor turned around there. He'll be disappointed with that. That's not Bradford defence. That certainly isn't Dragons defence, and he'll be disappointed. But this is a positive start. I think Dragons they've taken 2 or 3 really good shots.
And again, Bradford on the board, size advantage. It was this time Tolawasi trying to put out Fetsky as Reading go high-low, and great Osborne hits Leon Francis' head, and Leon will head back to the line.
Yeah.
And
if you get that replay, you can see, you would have just seen there the position, and we need one of those super close-in cameras that can fly around the court and then go and see exactly what Pinnock was thinking, because right there you saw Pinnock give Leon, he just gave him the eyes to say, look, there's nothing behind you, I'm going to put it there. And in that moment, that's beautiful to see. That doesn't just happen. That's experience, and that's something that coaches will have worked on.
No, and we'll see if Leon can convert from the line. He has had his struggles this year, both games here.
I told you, he doesn't miss free throws, other than the ones he missed before.
I've seen 2 air balls this year from him in back-to-back games here in Nottingham, but makes them both, and the Reading lead back up to 15. 7:20 left of the third quarter, and Reading back in the press, and an odd-looking pass, but
I know.
Lykoudis gets away with it as Reading knock it out of bounds.
The thing is, and the athleticism of this division as well, we talked about that with Jermaine Lang earlier as well, and then you just saw Tolawasi go up to about 15 foot in the air to just get a deflection. So
Osborne drive and kick. And Reading again trying to find the high post and play out of it. High-low and back. And that was interchange. Sulks misses the layup and eventually gets fouled in the second. But that's the layup. You need the first one, really.
Yeah, and that's on...
If that's Grant, that will be 4.
I think that was on. We should know this, you know. You should know this.
I couldn't quite say. I believe it's Tolawasi, and that's his third. So it'll be Sam Grant checks out on 3. But Reading now with 3 players all on 3 fouls, so that will be something they'll need to manage. However, Alan Keane does have that depth that perhaps Bradford, if they're in a similar situation, don't really have. Yeah,
and I think there's expected contributions, and straight off the bench comes KB Live, and Sam Grant comes out. Big shout out to Amy, his sister, and also his mum, who's watching the game. That one was too hot to handle from Williams. Yeah, and Sam's got a big decision ahead of him. I know we're talking in the break off air about what he'll do, but Sam likely to head out to the US next year and just deciding upon what to do. And that's always a hard thing for a junior to decide. What a great problem to have, though, right? Yeah, for sure. Lykoudis, contested pull-up, leaves it short, but great Osborne, another rebound. The Maesco youngster really doing job. That's a great pass as well. And, I hope we can see that one again, Michael, and that's an and one. I tell you what we haven't seen enough of there is, we talked about this at the beginning, KV Live then gets a defensive rebound and gets it out of his hands within about a second, and Rockets are off on transition. Reece Pinnock puts it on a platter for Liam, who's not going to miss that one under the rim. So really good to see interplay from this Rockets team is maturing from in front of our eyes, especially this season. I told you, he doesn't miss free throws. No, told Francis now 4 of 6 on the line, lead up to 17, one of the biggest of the afternoon. Reading trying to trap Lang in the half court, and Bradford just can't get it to go. Looked like the ball was dropping, but didn't, as Lykoudis gets Tolawasi in the air and then repositions and knocks it down, and that's a lovely piece of footwork. And that's what they needed, wasn't it? That's exactly what this game could have been going out to, could have been 20, and it's still 14 points, and they've got a long way to go.
Williams misses the wide open Tolawasi on the right wing.
There
Now
he goes.
finds him.
That's the one.
And Sam Tolley knocks it down. But Sam Tolawasi was open for 5-6 seconds there.
And Tolawasi just slapped the Showen's hand and he said to him, I was open, my friend. Said, if you wouldn't mind passing me that ball a bit earlier, I'd appreciate it.
Bradford again moving the ball around. Lykoudis just hit 1 second is long. And
another good rebound, another good outlet.
And
KV, now a Showen trying to find the bucket and does.
And that's tough, but O'Shawn on fire. 21 points, 8 of 12 shooting now, and he loves this gym.
Coach Meller is going to be looking at a timeout, as that's a shot that you just don't see missed.
No, Fetsky, the last one rimmed out, he wasn't going to miss the same look, same spot, back-to-back times. And Fetsky up to 13 now for the Dragons as they trail by 17 midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, Rockets running, looking for Williams again. Sets his feet, that one short. Snagged in by KV Live.
Francis double team, good kick out.
He'll shoot that one. And look at the sky. A show and Lily comes up with that one. What an incredible effort from the lead guard.
Yeah, and so that's another steal. Lykoudis, he tried to jam in, he missed the jam. Blooper reel for Williams, but it doesn't matter.
Coach King would have lost his hair if that hadn't been picked up.
Yeah, but there you go, just padding the stats. Doesn't worry about field goal percentage, I'll have the rebound.
Yeah.
And a foul underneath, and if that is...
Yeah, I think...
wide open, it's... looked like a 4th personal foul on...
Is that on Tolawasi?
No, on your main man Live.
KV Live.
KV Live.
Coach will leave him out there, I think.
No, he won't.
just as I say that, and what I meant to say was Coach will bring him out.
Yeah.
And in comes Chuck, and Chuck comes straight into the matchup. That's a tough one now. This is a big Bradford lineup.
Yeah, and it's Williams guarding Meckway.
Right on the button as well.
Yeah.
And these 4 minutes are really important now because Williams is knocked down a bunch of shots. You've got a double sub coming in for Reading.
And one of them, Maitland, going to go to work. Great footwork, patience and
What
finish.
a move by Latrell Maitland. What a nice move. Good balance, really experienced.
And Chris Miller asking for a travel, but he had a smile on his face. I think even he knows that was a bit ambitious. Umekwe on Williams and is hacked and will go to line with Rockets in the penalty.
Yeah, and no one on the Rockets bench was agreeing with that one. But as we know, the referees will get that spot on.
Yeah.
Difficult call as well. Difficult call. Lots of hands. Difficult not to call it, I think.
Yeah, and really Bradford is struggling with spacing. They've got so many mismatches down low. They're almost struggling to pick which one they want to go to, and that's caused a little bit of an issue. As Umekwe misses the first.
Yeah. And this is where Chris Miller's going to... He really wants a run now. He really wants a run from his guys. And he needs Fetsky and he needs these guys to step up a little bit. Good patience by Chuck. Could easily have shot that. Reese has had another one picked up.
And Bradford, best way to claw into a big deficit. Score while the clock is stopped, and they're back to the line again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Coach is looking at that then, just saying to the perimeter guys, like the ball can't stick. I can't quite make out exactly what it is, but I'm sure he's saying to Reese and to Latrell that the ball's stopping now. The ball needs to move so we can catch Bradford out. And
Bradford, issue is, you can get to the line, but you've got to knock them down. That's 3 straight misses from the Dragons. The free throw percentage is dropping very drastically as Matt Armstrong makes the second. Gap is 18.
Yeah, now this would be interesting because Bradford have gone zone. They've gone more standard, like 2-3. And it'll be interesting to see. Well, that's exactly where we want to go. Great pass by Maitland, who's come in and done some really nice things. Great hands by Leome.
You'll find the high post at one end, we'll find it at the other.
Absolutely, and that's a terrific answer because I think, right there, that's a show and then got caught on the wrong matchup with this small lineup from Rockets. And if Bradford can find those matchups, they're going to find it a lot easier.
Yeah, and Williams, deep
He
three.
likes another one.
And I'll tell you what, at the end of the third, we're going to have to go through it, but it's the third game for Reading, and Williams has just fell in love with the gym here.
Yeah, I mean, he must like the green walls.
As Osborne drives, unable to get the layup to go. Francis
I'm
rebounds.
surprised there was a lot of contact on that from the young man.
And Reading have the 4-on-3. Pinnock drives, trailer in Francis. Euro step layup is not able to drop, and it'll be Bradford's turn to push the pace.
Yeah, good defence by Duru on that one as well. Good finish, young man.
Yeah, great. Osborne's been great for Dragons. 6 of 8 now from the floor. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals for the youngster.
Yeah, Bradford go back to man as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you're giving up 80, you've got to keep trying different things.
Yeah, shot clock under now, under 10.
Maitland playing on 4 fouls, 4 on the clock. Can he find anything? Pinnock unable to get it to go, and Osborne will push himself in transition. Blows by Francis and jams it home at the other end.
Unbelievable, coast to coast. And pulls that back from what was a 20-point game to 17.
And if you can get it to 12 here with a little run into confidence, Bradford would like that going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and what Coach Keane's not going to want, he's not going to want to go back-to-back. He won't want back-to-back scores and to give Bradford anything coming into this fourth quarter. You just see then that Francis just gets beaten one-on-one at the top, no help.
And I wonder if they're talking about an unsportsmanlike on Daru for basically just throwing Fetsky to the floor.
Yep.
Let's have a look again. Yeah, underneath you can see Daru fighting, and he basically, it's a little bit of a flop. It's a little bit of a hold. And they've gone with a common foul. So Fetsky to line for 2, no possession for Bradford, but it's an important run for Bradford just to give themselves a sliver of hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Keane comes back with Ben Dixon, so he's gone senior guard and he's gone senior forward now. So Francis comes out. Interesting now, this last minute and 20, because Bradford have got one of the bigger lineups on the floor now. I think has Great Osborne had a rest now?
Yep, yeah, he's just gone out.
And he's brought Fetsky back in. Brought Sulks back in, yep.
Yeah, and floor drying again underway, and Harry Ladlow saying Pinnock might be one of the fastest dribblers in the league. Well, a bit like MVP, where do you want to start on that? Ball handling in the NBL?
Honestly, I think for me, the guys I've seen a lot of, Ashoan and Reese, are 2 of the quicker guards to get it up the floor. But, you know, it's not all about your running speed, is it? It's about your team speed. And there's some other teams Ian Smith is rapid getting up and down the floor. And there's a lot of guards now that are pushing at some significant pace.
And Bradford's
this is a
free
tough
throws
matchup here for young Matt.
Must be said, Bradford's free throw struggle continued as they missed both, and offensive foul on Tolawasi, and that is his 4th.
And I think you'll find that might have just been sold, that one.
I'm not going to say it, but
you can see that
let's
be
honest.
I think that's experience there.
Yeah,
well done.
He is slightly moving.
Absolutely.
But I think if you looked on the scouting report, go down easily / flop, maybe on it for some Division 1 head coaches.
I think Sol will have a little smile on his face. Sam Grant back in the game. Another good matchup. Fetsky will be looking at that one.
Armstrong driving baseline. Maitland, good defence on 4 fouls.
And I've got to say, I don't think that's what Chris Mellor wants. I don't think he wants the Armstrong one-on-one now when you're fighting so much.
And that's a matchup Reading will love. A Meckway on Williams. And actually, while you're not in the penalty, it's a great foul to give.
Yeah, and Coach Mellor's going to navigate his way into a fourth quarter. This is probably going to be between 15 and 18. This game is... these games are never down. We've seen some really big leads, and you just need a quick run.
And a little bit of just
out of
as there's a foul underneath, just to say the scoreboard is missing the first digit. It says 38.5 seconds to go, not 8.5. But that will be Bradford's 4th team foul. So Rockets end-line ball, 14 on the clock. Perfect opportunity for a 2-for-1 here to close the third quarter.
Just missed Sam Grant wide open.
Trying to find the high post.
Yeah, and that's
Dixon turns it
frustrating, isn't
over,
it?
trying to find Daru, and Grant gambles, sulks, goes through the chest
Charging
of
foul, what
Dixon.
a great
Yeah.
play. And those sorts of things make such a difference when your team just misses. Bradford are in transition and Dixon stands his place where we could have been going. It could be 15 with momentum. It's now still 17 and the ball to Rockets. It should be taking the last shot.
Yeah.
Zone pressed by Bradford. Good stuff by Mellor.
And yeah,
Just tries to break it up.
3.5
Now they're gonna
second
settle down.
differential.
We're going to see Williams with the ball in his hand. There we go.
Probably
And
a
this is a
pick and roll.
matchup that Bradford don't want.
See Daru coming up, thinks about it. Williams nearly loses the handle.
Yeah.
Tough leg,
And-
contested. Bradford have time
And
if they push.
No foul on anything. And
Like Kudis thinks about it, shoots it on the buzzer off to the left.
Yeah,
And Bradford really needed that to drop, but a lot of contact on the other end of the floor. And Williams
I think Williams will
feels
be
hard done by.
possibly thinking if there was some contact there. And another great example, and I think we can catch it on camera. Williams is absolutely wiped out on the play, gets up, walks to the bench, says nothing to the referees and just gets on with it. What a great example of someone with great emotional intelligence and emotional control. And we don't recognise that enough. I think as the commentators as well, it's our job to pick things like that out. Not always the emotional response after a dunk or the coach that is frustrated or that sort of stuff. It's really important to see how the coaches are managing these teams well. And there goes your players. When your lead guy like Ashoan Williams has such an effect on the game, can take contact like that and stand up, get back to your team, he's telling you what's important.
Now, I've just been doing some quick maths here. So through 2 3/4 games here in Nottingham this year, Ashoan Williams, 83 points, 13 rebounds, 17 assists, 11 steals.
Wow.
So he likes this gym, and I think he'll be a little bit upset. Maybe he's not coming back for the rest of the year.
And stay on that comment, because I've just been looking in the chat, and my old mentor, Coach David Titmus, is saying if Reading adds small man post defence to their defensive schemes, they'll be tough with this lineup. And if Coach T talks about something like that, that's something that you need to write it down and look at it. And I'm sure Coach Keane is looking at that, because one of the ways that teams are attacking, and we've seen this with Coach Mellor, he's managed to find the smalls on the block against Reading. And they've done a really good job, but when you see the points in the paint, you'll see that some of that is against switch defences and broken matchups. If Rockets can sort that out as well, they are going to be a very tough team to play against, as we've seen already. And
that's a new challenge, really. We talked about the departure of Dinkolu earlier in the game, but that's the thing. Reading had the size pre-Christmas, and now they don't. And if Foles, as we're saying, has to miss extended time, it's something that Reading will need to address as Kudis knocks down his third triple of the afternoon, breaks into double digits, and the gap is 14. And Maitland is blocked. However, referee Kate Unsworth is going to call a foul. I don't know if it was on. I don't think it was actually on Fetsky who got the block.
Yeah,
and might have been on Armstrong.
I'm going to ask coaches as well. There's a lot of coaches on here, and we're up to nearly 200 people. The move that you saw Latrell make there, where he attacks and he slows down and allows his defender to go in front of him, that needs a name to it. And I don't know what the name is yet, but it's almost like a slow step. So just have a look at that again, because that is really important to be coached. You see it a lot across Europe, with being able to balance on your second step. So really, really nice to see. And I'd like to know what the name is.
Yeah, and actually something we talked about in the first half a little bit, the amount of variety of passes and finishes we've seen at the rim today has been really impressive.
Yeah.
And if you're a young player looking at this, watch this game back and just go count the amount of different ways to get to the rim and finish, as Umekwe puts the ball in for the Dragons down 14.
So we saw that, didn't we? And we saw that Dixon, that was Dixon against Big. Nice pass by Chuck.
Umekwe, a little bit of a poor closeout, a big man's closeout, some may say.
Yeah, and I think you see at the other end, we've seen that the disadvantage with Dixon and this smaller lineup is there, where he gets posted up and gets scored over. But then you get the advantage where he goes and drives and picks up a foul. So Coach Keane's going to manage that all the time as Chuck Duro goes out, and in comes Francis.
We've got an answer to your question, Matt.
Yep.
Drag step.
Drag step.
Hang
on, no, that doesn't count, because that's Nathan Clifford saying that, who's a referee.
Maitland. knocks it down, and also Josh Thorne. So I will.
Oh, okay. If we get that as well.
If we get any more to confirm that, we'll go with it. Until then, we're holding on pause because the referee says it.
Yeah,
as Umekwe lays it in, and Bradford again, these points in the paint starting to rack up to 42 on the evening.
Yes, but I think, Michael, Bradford have got to get some stops. Still, you just saw Maitland, and you're seeing, one-on-ones, attack to the basket, and Mellor will be looking. Coach Mellor will be looking at this and saying, right, how do we get stops? Because Reading are now got 86 points with 8 minutes to go. They're on course for 100+ change. So what are they going to do? That means Bradford have got to score at least 30 to win this game in the last 8 minutes 40. And their scoring has slightly slowed down since their 25-point first quarter or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure who the foul went on, but it looked like it could be on 2 or 3 different players. We'll just wait for the stats update. We are opposite the table, which is the slight disadvantage. You can't always see the referee signals, but looks like it could have been on either Fetsky or Umekwe underneath as Osborne checks back in for the hosts.
Yeah, and I'm just going to highlight a little bit of some of the under-discussed players as well. Latrell Maitland, who I think you mentioned earlier, I think he's had a really well put-together game, and credit to the coaches there. I think Coach Keane's worked with Latrell over a number of years, and you're just starting to see him as an athletic but really controlled now. And that 3 that he just knocked down is something that he's been talking about. And it's been really important for the development of his game to be dangerous, but at the right time in the right areas. And I think this is a very mature performance from the young. I think he's 18. Oof.
Rockets.
If anyone sees that, can someone tell me how to jump that high? Not
practice.
You, Michael. Not you. No, don't give me practice. Such a coach's comment. Practice. Listen to you.
Genes.
It's in the genes.
Genetics.
It's like gravity-defying stuff.
Yeah, and we've got some high flyers, and even it's a shame this year, even the BBL, we normally see a dunk contest, and we saw a couple of huge dunks again last night. It's a shame we haven't seen that, because we have a lot of guys that can dunk the ball, and an NBL dunk contest this year would be entertaining as well.
Oh, absolutely. An EABL one would be.
As Sulks finally gets one to go, he'll be relieved to keep the scoreboard
just keep an eye on this matchup here. Lykoudis has not stopped.
Another flop.
Dixon with a little little 12-footer. That's a gimme make one. That he's got to make that one.
And
but if you keep an eye on the matchup that Bradford have just put Lykoudis onto Williams, and what they've done is face guarded him for I think the first time that I've seen that.
And Bradford's transition defence goes AWOL.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chris Mellor has seen enough. Timeout Dragons trailing by 19, 7:44 to go here in the fourth quarter. And again, Reading just getting stops, getting turnovers and having transition points. And again, a lovely pass by Dixon sold the layup, and Leon Francis does not miss those. He is up to 20 points personal on the evening, and the Reading Rockets' 2 leading scorers doing the damage, combined 48 points on 17 of 28 shooting. And really, you would have thought Bradford coming in would, and I'm sure they knew they're the 2 guys to stop. They've just not had solutions for them this afternoon.
And I think it's been tough as well. I think you've seen what Coach Keane and Coach Lloyd have put some better situations for Williams, but I think also when he comes out and is firing on all cylinders and shooting the ball so well, it makes your team so different. You're so dangerous that now the defense has to open up the floor. And a word of advice from the legend that is Roger Harrison, just encouraging us to keep talking about the commentary and not the officiating, because we obviously don't know anything about it, but I like to think that I do. So
to be fair, I'll say I tried to keep up with the rules, but Roger brought one out last week on me that I did not know, and there's always things to learn, no matter how many games we see.
Yeah, most important comment in the chat is my son. How do you be a good commentator? Son, that's not spelt correctly from your son, but we'll discuss that when I get home.
Oh dear, is that homeschool? Is that homeschool teaching?
Blame his mum. Blame his mum. But yeah, and I'll see you soon, Joshy.
One of the 2020-2021 challenges: practice and homeschool. As Maitland throws up a contested acrobatic layup, Francis tip unable to get it to go, and Bradford will come away with the rebound and a chance for the Dragons to run. We've seen less of this as the game progresses. Euro step from Sulks, takes the contact, leaves it short, and Sulks has really struggled from the floor.
And look at this lineup now. for Rockets is 4 guards and potentially 4 point guards. You've got 4 guys that have run the one at certain times. And absolutely, and I like what Coach Keane's done. But let's see now if they can get stops. I knew this would happen. As soon as I said it, he puts a big in. That's twice he's got me, isn't it? And out goes Maitland. And that wasn't the best possession for Maitland, but he's had a really, really nice, put together a really nice game as well. And first look for Jacob Satautas, who's going to get himself some really important clock.
Yeah, and he's got a tough matchup. Straight in on Fetsky, spin move. Good defense by the youngster.
And he'll claim that as a block, right? He'll claim that as a block.
Let's see if our lovely statisticians on the far side give it to them. Williams, lovely dump off. Did not look like a goal 10, but just about got away with it. Referee deciding it didn't impact the outcome of the shot. And
Lang wants the body. It's good defense inside.
Williams with the
just
steal.
Rip and go.
Yeah, and Lang
Rockets are on a 4-on-2, and Williams gets all the way to the rim and blows the lead now to over 20. And Chris Mellor's going to be frustrated with that, because there was a time in the third where Bradford had that moment. They had the moment to try and get this game to within 12 or 10 and give themselves a shot at it in the fourth. But right now, I think this is going to be a bit too far. But no one's told Great Osobor that, have they?
He has been fantastic all afternoon. And the thing is, with the format, as Bradford forget about Ben Dixon rim running and Dixon able to make the tough reverse. But obviously with the format of NBL this year, these sides won't play each other again, and these two teams could well be close to each other in the standings at the end of the year. So Bradford will not have a chance to get the head-to-head back late in the year. So this game will be pivotal. As
absolutely.
Fetsky commits the foul, and Bradford now the team in foul trouble.
Yeah, and someone just said get KV back in the game. Where did I see? Oh, there you go, Josh Thorne. Josh, you must have texted Coach Keane, because he's put him back in the game just for you. So well done. And Julie Grant, yeah, absolutely. Let's go, Jacob. Jacob, a very good friend of Sam Grant, they come down to JMA and at the academy for both in their third and final year, where we sorely missed both of them. Northampton's finest. Jacob has absolutely transformed his game from under 16s.
Pinnock to the rack, takes the contact and will head to the line. And again, this Reading depth is really starting to show through. Pinnock 12.6 assists, 4 rebounds, and will head back to the line for the second time this afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's valuable for Reading, because next week, as tough as they get on the road, I believe, I need to double check that one, but they will play the team Solent Kestrels, and that will be a challenge to see how far this group has come in the last couple of weeks since the Christmas break. Yeah,
I think you're looking at the rosters of Thames Valley, aren't you, and Solent as probably getting a bit ahead of the pack. But I think we're just starting to see the way this Rockets team can actually start to be very dangerous and tough to play against. They're starting to have a way of playing that it's not like a Rockets team that we've seen before. So exciting to watch.
Yeah,
and Dixon is going to come into the game and get himself 6 quick points.
Yeah, and I think Reading really just going to distribute the minutes and try and distribute the scoring. Leon France is on the bench. I'd be surprised if we see Leon again this afternoon, as Lykoudis with a pull-up, and he has been again one of the bright spots for Dragons. Scored early, and
I think I was saying earlier on that, you know, if you can shoot it, you're going to have a spot. And Lykoudis comes in and has got such a smooth stroke, and when you watch him, that you always see the defender is always having a problem defending him.
Yeah, Lykoudis coming in shooting 34% from the floor this year. He's 3 of 6 on the afternoon, as Coach Chris Mellor will call a timeout. Yep. Bradford down 20 with 4:37 to go. Bradford, we talked about the venue being an issue, and obviously the impact it has on the players travelling 2 hours to a home game. They're here the next 2 weeks at home. So hopefully they'll start to get a feel for the gym. It is quite a nice arena to play in.
It's a wonderful place, and it's a good place to call games from as well. It's a good place for the stream team and the NBL Live guys to get stuff right. The camera angles, everything's good here, and I really hope this becomes a place that Bradford enjoy coming to as well, because in this season, enjoying these games, especially in Division 1, is an important part of the journey. You know, enjoying the competition. The win-loss thing is what you're going to be judged on, but you know, right now with basketball being closed down a lot of the place, we have to, you know, we've done well to not talk about COVID pandemic for most of this game, but with 200 people, you know, on the stream, it's important that we're really grateful for the things that these teams do and these clubs do. This is unprecedented times to get the game on the floor, and just to see what you've got with the referees and all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes is just a real credit to Basketball England, to NBL, to the venues, to the COVID officers, the coaches and the players. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that, and let's hope this doesn't stop too much more basketball for everyone in the country.
And as play gets underway, like Kudis nearly loses it, I will say there is no way Bradford can enjoy coming here, because for Chris Mellor it's too close to Matshaw.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, let's draw attention to that. And we always do that, don't we? The Rockets are up 20. Pinnock dives on the ball going out of bounds. 4 other guys, 3 academy guys run over and pull him up off the floor to say, good job. What a way to be an example in this game.
Yeah, and Bradford really getting everyone into the game, as checking in for the first time, Billy Cousins.
Yep, he's in. He was asked, someone asked, where's Cousins? Well, he's in.
He's in and scoring, so 2 points for Bradford, and I think that's 9 of the 10 Bradford players now on the score sheet this afternoon. Yeah. Reading also
really nice set by Coach Keane coming out of there as well.
Yeah, and
just missed the timing of it. There it is. Jacob's going to put this up.
A little bit too late as the shot clock did expire, but
and it's a good example for, you know, Jacob 6'8", and he got the ball on the free throw line just underneath and needed to shoot it.
I was going to say, and Alan really using the multitude as
Jacob Tate back into the game as well. With he's coming about a minute ago as well. We should have been on that one. Good to see. So you've got
3 academy players,
3 ABL guys. Good defense there. This is, and I can tell KV after the game, it's a privilege for him to guard my man Sulks.
Yeah, and
there
Rockets
goes Jacob.
And Rockets get 3 figures on the board. So second consecutive week, Bradford now giving up 100, and what was the third best defence, unfortunately, will be no longer after today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Chuck is going to come in and finish this game and give Reese what is a really well-deserved rest as well. Contribution in so many different areas as well. And I'm just going to, Mark Hayward, my buddy, been through a tough time, but he's still got enough to say, #make the game win. And Mark, if any of you have listened to our Instagram show, there's about 6 people that listen to it. So if you are one of the lucky ones that's caught it, #make the game win. You'll know all about it. Here comes the end of the diamond set now for Coach Keane likes, with the high-low KV to Jacob. And that is got the entire bench up and waving T-shirts, and assistant coaches and everyone up.
And also chalk the assist to the head coach Alan Keane for the set, as Osborne continues his strong night, knocking down the 3, something has really started to develop in his game over the last couple of years at Myerscough.
Absolutely, and good to see as well. We talked about it before, didn't we? We talked about, you know, Biggs, and you're talking about Osborne, who's playing as the 5, just comes down, knocks down the perimeter 3 like it's a free throw. And that's the development of the player. And for someone his size at the level above now, you're looking at him being a stretch 4 with the athleticism as well to go with it. And he'll go on and have a good college career somewhere. And I'm sure we'll see him in Europe and hopefully back in Great Britain one day soon. Maybe joining the BBL at some point or something like that. Seeing him on Sky Sports Friday night game. And
talking of BBL, I think as this game draws to a close, Osborne for another 3 leaves it a little bit long, but obviously we saw Thames Valley in BBL trophy action last night, a terrific game down in Surrey that they'll be kicking themselves for not winning.
Bob Banks won't have slept. Coach Banks will not have slept, I think. I think they did everything right to get that game. I think they were up 5 or...
Yeah, up 5, 35 seconds ago. Surrey had to foul and instead they turned it over.
Big screen. KV's goes to work, gets him up in the air, bing, bang, bosh.
But obviously the big NBL news in the week, really, as Bradford decide this time it's their turn to concede a basket and score in transition.
The average age of each basket in the last 3 minutes is about 18.
Yeah, obviously there's the news that Cam Hildreth has left Worthing Thunder and joined the Scorchers, and boy, did he have an impact last night. Game winner with 0.6 seconds to go after a 4-point play, got the Scorchers back in it.
Yeah, and I think for anyone watching, and this is really for some of the coaches out there, just hit the rewind button and have a look at the last 3 sets that the coaching team from the Rockets have thrown out there. It really fits the guys on the floor in terms of they end up in a diamond set with one of the guards coming off, and they go big to big screen, and they're really trying to use that, Jacob and KV, and the timing's been good, the finishing's been good, and it's been really interesting to watch. So just keep an eye on that. If Rockets might run that again as KV drops that one in.
Yeah, and obviously not the only NBL team in action. I mean, the other thing for Thames Valley, lose on the road by 1, and then you've got to get on a bus at 8 o'clock in the morning to go up to Newcastle, which was definitely a bit of a sting in the tail as the layup rims out for the Dragons, and multiple players on the floor. Rockets out in transition again. See what they can do this time.
KV, the juggernaut.
Spin move and layup.
Whoa, Rockets bench her up. Rockets bench her up. Chris Mellors, I think he even doffed his cap to that one.
Yeah, and it's,
Chris
again,
Meller, a real basketball.
another different finish, and we talked about this earlier. The variety of finishes we've seen has been terrific, and spin moves going to the right, spin moves to the left.
Absolutely, and then Matt Armstrong comes down, gets down the floor. That's a foul.
And will go to the line. So yeah, the other NBL teams in action this week in the trophy. Hemel go to Cheshire tomorrow. And what I think, again, I think Hemel have got a shot at Cheshire.
Hey, what we do know is that the assistant coach will be ready, don't we? Because we've given him
pretty
much.
He's got 2 games and he's in the chat. Because obviously Hemel in action tonight against, I forget who it is off the top of my head. I believe it's Barking, but I will double check that as the game closes out. Yeah, Hemel Barking tonight, and obviously Hemel on the road in Cheshire tomorrow. Cheshire missing the big in Jimbo Law. So a chance for Hemel, I think. And
I caught watching a bit of Jimbo Law, and that is old school 1980s NBA at its best, and I really enjoyed watching his game. And if the BBL's bringing in guys like that, we're happy.
Yeah, and of course an all NBL Division 1 clash here at Wildcats Arena, Derby Solent. I know, speaking to Matt Shaw in the week, his priority is on the game that will tip in about 15 minutes out in Chelmsford, Essex versus Derby. Essex coming off 2 big wins last week themselves. But again, we talked about the C word a lot, but it's nice to see a full slate of games across both the BBL and the NBL. I think there's 12 BBL games across the weekend, and we've got a full slate today. Yeah,
and just, echo what I said before, thank you to everyone that's doing the stuff that no one ever sees and no one ever hears about. And I think, if you are one of the guys that's doing the commentary as well, I think it is important that we do ensure that we are really aware that in our little bubble at the moment, where we're thrilled to be so close to some live action, and hopefully the enthusiasm comes across. But I would say that there's a whole army of people making this possible, and let's just also give ourselves a little moment to watch this young man who's put together a very, very good game.
Yeah, and actually, quick on that subject, a big step forward by BE this week. The officials are now getting tested as well, which is something that I think is important, because you can test the players, but if the referees have got it, I know they're not direct close contacts, but it gives everyone a little bit more confidence as Latrell Maitland works the baseline. Reverse layup is good, and a strong performance by the Rockets. Up to 111 points, which Alan Keane no doubt will be delighted about.
Yeah, and I would say this is part of the development of the EABL as well, that you're seeing on the court now with Matt there, that's just knocked down a 3, and then Latrell and Sam and the other guys that you've got with Great as well. You've got 4 or 5 guys that are coming through that EABL program, and that's been a real good advert for this game. And Michael, I'll leave you to summarise it, but I just want to say a really, really big thank you for your time as well, and your professionalism and enthusiasm, and thank you to Ralston, who's set up about 46 cameras in about 8 seconds to make this game actually get to YouTube and get out there. And we really wish you a really great game now. What's your thoughts coming to the end of this one?
Yeah, I mean, Reading will be delighted, a real team balance. We talked about it at half-time, but I think 4 guys in double digits, another 4, all with at least 3 field goals. So real balance. Chuck Daru, the only one not scoring for the Rockets today. So the veteran letting everyone else
do
the work.
He was itchy with that last one, wasn't he? Desperately wanted that one in.
Yeah, what should we... Well, I mean, it's the worst performance on the Rockets team, and that says a lot because Chuck brings so much on both ends of the floor.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, real... And it's hard to say a standout because Reading played so well as a team, but O'Shawn Williams will take the headlines. 30 points on 57% shooting, including 6 of 10 from downtown, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, efficiency of 35. But yeah, that balance from Reading. Leome, 20 points, 10 rebound, double-double, which is a standard Leome performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna say that my shout for, in fact, I agree with Amy Grant, who said that Latrell Maitland for impact player of the game. I think that it's the best performance that he's had across both offense and defense, and the game is played, in both halves of the court. And I think seeing the composure and the way that he managed himself really gave a senior performance again to this team that will add so much to his confidence as well as he goes into he's in his final year. And I'm thrilled from, obviously from my perspective, being involved in the Rockets program, about how well those guys have done. And I'm also very, very well aware that this Bradford team is not a team that will go away. And this is a team that nobody will want to play in this season, and certainly not after a loss. So we're going to give our thoughts to Chris Meller, and Tim, who do a wonderful job with this group. And maybe this game's slightly different if you've got Albert not getting that injury, and I think it was the second quarter as well. So that took away a bit of leadership, a bit of seniority, and certainly some incredible perimeter defence as well. So, Bradford have strung together every year. They've strung together a really good season, and I'm thrilled for them to have the signing of Osobor. I think that's going to give them a real lift that they need. And I think they start knocking down a couple more of those shots and get a bit more out of Fetsky there, and maybe Salks as well. Will be a bit disappointed with some of the finishes, but they add that into that game and back in that mix, and they will be taking teams into the last 3 minutes, and great coaches like Chris Meller can certainly give other coaches a real problem. So I'm looking forward to seeing Bradford as they are, cooling down now and starting to digest what's happened. And in this time, I think it's a really good performance here by the Rockets team, one of the best we've seen all year, and a performance that Bradford will go on from.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about Osobor. We need to read his stat line out, because I've just looked at the final stats, and it needs mentioning. 27 points for the youngster, 6 rebounds, 10 of 15 from the floor. And in a game where Bradford really struggled to finish around the rim, he was one that was consistent, and his development is really coming through. And again, it's the time it's going to take for the youngsters to adapt to D1. This is a step up. Okay, he had a little bit of experience with the trophy, but he's really come in, made an impact early, and he's got the offensive skill. It's what can you do on the other end of the floor, and that's the big development for the youngsters. Yeah. It's adapting to the physicality and the challenges of experienced players in Division 1 that they don't really see in EABL level basketball.
Absolutely. Yeah, really good point. And I'm going to go back to assistant coach Ben Fisher as well at some point, and I can't remember the last time a Rockets team scored over 110 this in a league competition. So there's some really good signs there, and I echo everything that you said, and just really thrilled that we've got a really good production team, and really good to spend some time with you, Michael, and your in-depth knowledge. And thank you to the ladies that were doing the live stats that brought that makes the game so much deeper for all of us, and for everyone that's doing all they can around this NBL Live, and such a great product that Gail Richards and the team have been behind for many a year now to try and bring this, and this is one of the real bright sparks, I think, that's coming out of this time, and we just wish the best to everybody. And if you'd like to say the final words, Michael, and it's thank you from me, guys, and really good to spend some time with you.
Yeah, a reminder, talking of NBL Live, we will be back here. Well, me and Matt won't. We'll be on our journey home, but Rolston and the team will be back. John Hobbs currently making the trip up from the south coast. He'll be here with Tintin Watts. East Midlands derby, Nottingham Hoods versus Leicester Warriors from the Wildcats Arena at 5 o'clock. And I'm sure if you keep an eye out, there will be stream links from around NBL. We have 6 games, I believe, today. Essex derby due to tip off shortly, along with Newcastle, Thames Valley, Hemel Barking and Worthing Loughborough are the late games. So make sure you check out YouTube links and join us here back on the NBL live feed at 4:50 for Nottingham Leicester, but that will wrap up our coverage here as final score: Bradford Dragons 90, Reading Rockets 111 from the Nottingham Wildcats Arena.
Bang on!